Peterson heaving one down the sideline, and he's got Cass Allen over the top. Big side, down the sideline. Touchdown. His signature move and his signature performance. Allen did ball one more time. 58 yards this time.
You're listening to the Bruin Bible. This is your host, Will Decker, bringing you UCLA football content all throughout the year for LA Football Network.
What is good, Bruin Bible listeners? It is your host, Will Decker. We got to get a sponsor in before we start this episode. It's BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines and the latest matchup reports for this year's NBA playoffs. BetOnline is your sports intel headquarters this season, as we have you covered for your insider sports wagering needs. From basketball, Major League Baseball, NHL, hockey, golf, to UFC and boxing, the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Make sure you check out BetOnline. Get into the action today. So head to the website or use your mobile device to join, and be sure to use your promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now to the Bruin Bible. What is up, Bruin Bible listeners? Is your host, Will Decker, a Sunday night edition of the Bruin Bible, trying to recap this big-time week for our UCLA Bruins. And it came with a big commitment. Rob Booker out of Waunakee, Wisconsin, flipped from the University of Wisconsin Badgers to your UCLA Bruins. He's coming to sunny LA. It's a big time commitment for UCLA on various different levels. I'm going to break down why this is such a big flip for UCLA, and then I'm going to break down the top 5 commitment flips for UCLA in the Chip Kelly era. I've got some great names on this list. May have missed a couple, so I'm interested to see what you guys think when it comes to the UCLA players and the players that flip their commitments to the Bruins. Let's start with Rob Booker, 6'6", 215-pound tight end out of Wisconsin. This guy was a huge flip on a number of different levels, and I want to break down why I believe that this is, a very huge commitment for UCLA, given his 3-star status and what he means to the program. First and foremost, this is a big flip for UCLA because they are already flipping players that are committed to their competition. Big Ten is just a year away, and Wisconsin, very much a premier program, man. I mean, I know they just got Luke Fickell, who I think is going to keep them very, very relevant within the Big Ten. But you look at their last 30 years, they had Ron Dane, who is a Heisman winner. They have been to multiple Rose Bowls. They've been a consistent presence in the New Year's Bowl scheme. And I wouldn't totally classify them as tier A within the Big Ten, your Michigans, your Ohio States, your Penn States. But they're just a tier below that. So the fact that somebody is leaving a Wisconsin program, a established program that has, won a lot of college football games over the last 20 to 30 years, to flip to UCLA, I think this is huge. And it shows that we're a relevant presence within the Big Ten, furthering that belief for UCLA moving forward. Number 2, we know what Chip does with the tight end room. He is constantly overproduced with the players that have recruited to the tight end room as a whole. I mean, Greg Dulcich, Caleb Wilson, these were guys that walked on, low-star recruit players, if any, and turned them into NFL-level players. Caleb Wilson winning the Mackey Award. And even though Greg Dulcich didn't win the Mackey Award, I would take him over any tight end in that 2022 NFL draft class, meaning I think he was the best in the country. So those two guys, Devin Asiasi, he put into the league, went and drafted the Patriots. And then you have your Ed Dixons and your David Paulsons back when he was at Oregon that he put into the league as well. So just a lot of positive stuff from Chip Kelly and how he uses his tight ends. And I think we're going to see a lot of that at UCLA. Carson Ryan was playing a lot until he got hurt. He looked like he was going to be a steal in the recruiting class. Jack Peterson was making plays all spring. I think he's going to be very, very solid at the tight end position. Hudson Habermill and, Maliki Matavo, the Oregon transfer. There's a lot of talent in these tight end rooms, and Chip consistently gets the most out of that position. So it's a big commitment for that. Number 3, I just think Rob Booker is criminally underrated. And this has been a trend that UCLA has done where they offer these guys that, are about to blow up. They kind of get in early on a lot of these prospects. I mentioned the Luke Duncan commitment last year was kind of a low unknown 3-star. UCLA offers him. He goes to a couple camps. He shoots up to a 4-star. We've already seen it with Mark Schraller, the offensive lineman for UCLA. He's moved to a 4-star status since his UCLA commitment, going to the Bruins and the camp circuit he was able to put together. So Chip Kelly is ahead of the curve with this coaching staff that has so much, NFL lineage, whether it's, your Tim Drevnos, Deshaun Foster. I mean, we got to hope we can keep this guy. I think he may be going to the NFL at some point too, because he's just so gifted as a running back coach. DeAnton Lynn, is an NFL coach himself. Just so much NFL talent. I trust these guys' opinions and evaluations on these players and, who is worthy and not worthy to get an offer. So to flip a Rob Booker, just a huge target, runs like a gazelle at 6'6", 215. He's going to be able to put on a lot more weight when he gets to the room and when he gets to Westwood. It's just going to be a very, very solid pickup. And I would not be shocked if Rob Booker, shoots to 4-star status by the time he's done with his high school career out of Waunakee, Wisconsin. And just the Wisconsin players are just generally under-recruited. It's weird. That area of the country, the Ohios, the Michigans, the Pennsylvanias within the Big Ten country, traditionally have a lot of 4-star players, but Wisconsin and your Minnesotas, a lot of those players go under the radar. And, a perfect example of that is John Gaines, the, former UCLA Bruin. He's been on the podcast and, went and got drafted in the 4th round this year by the Cardinals. He was a 2-star recruit coming out of high school. Nobody really got to see him play in Wisconsin. So just knowing what Booker brings to the table, I'm very, very thrilled about this. So this is a big one for UCLA. Go watch the highlight tapes of him. Bruin Bible listeners, we've got a special sponsor for today's episode. It is AG1. AG1 has been something that I've really enjoyed using in my spare time. 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole-source food nutrients in one scoop that you can use into your water. You stir it up. I use it before my workouts, before I start my day, and it has totally given me the energy I need to do the little things in life, like going to work, getting extra, an extra boost, a second wind, if you will, for a workout. Before I play pickleball with my friends, just it puts you in a good spirit of mind, and you're doing the healthiest possible thing by putting AG1 in your body. Make sure to check us out and get a special deal with the Bruin Bible. It's www.drinkag1.com/Bruin Bible to get the special deal that we provide. Once again, www.drinkag1.com/Bruin Bible to get that special deal. Now, back to the Bruin Bible. And this got me thinking, who are the top 5 commitment flips in the UCLA era? I've got a nice list. I'm really excited to kind of air this out with you guys. I want your opinions. I want to know what you guys think about this. Let's start with the 2 guys that just missed the list. Number 1, RJ Jones in last year's recruiting class. RJ Jones flipped from Cal to UCLA, was part of a prominent program within Southern California at St. John's Bosco, flipping a big-time 4-star level caliber player and knowing that we may get his brother at some point because his brother is in the class of 2024. And a huge reason he wants to come here is to play with his brother. I think RJ Jones committing to UCLA, a guy I can very easily see playing multiple successful seasons at UCLA, is huge. So I'm very, very thrilled on that. Carl Jones. Carl Jones just missed the list, was initially committed to the University of Colorado Buffaloes. And I, like many UCLA analysts, have had this guy breaking out for several years. He really hasn't quite gotten to that point, but he's going to be a 5th-year returning senior this year. 6 sacks to his career. He's got a lot of talent, and maybe this is the year where he matches his career sack total with more reps coming for UCLA when we're going to need some of that senior leadership on defense, headed into this season. So maybe Carl Jones flips the turn. So now we've made it to the top 5. And coming in at number 5 is a guy that hasn't played a snap for UCLA, but a guy that I think deserves to be on this list. I got Grant Buckey out of the 2023 class, 6'5", 265-pound defensive end, built like Aiden Hutchinson, looks great, was enrolled in spring and looked awesome. But the real reason he's on here for the people that pay attention to his recruitment is he flipped from USC to UCLA. And anytime you can secure a commitment from your arch nemesis and have them, be of caliber player, because we know what type of players USC traditionally gets, I think this is huge. And Grant Bucky coming to UCLA, he looks like he's going to be a ball player, man. I mean, I went to 10, 11, 12 spring practices. I don't know the total on the top of my head. This guy was a dude out there already competing, completely looks the part of 265 pounds as a true freshman, stand-up defensive end. He's going to learn from the likes of Aliatu Latu and, the Murphy twins and some of these great edge rushers that we have, and just some of the leadership that's going to be in that defensive locker room. I'm betting on Grant Bucky to be a very productive player at UCLA. And, if he does reach his ceiling, he's going to be a high-level NFL draft pick. So Grant Bucky, for his high-level ceiling and his former USC commitment, we got to put him in at number 5. So Grant Bucky coming in at number 5. Number 4, a guy that I think is going to take the reins for the starting safety spot, strong safety spot next to Jordan Anderson. Kamari Ramsey was a part of the 2022 recruiting class out of Sierra Canyon High School. You guys probably know it as Bronny James's high school. A lot of famous high school players have gone there, but they do have a football team too. Committed to Stanford, and he was a part of David Shaw's, last recruiting class there in 2022. And I think he saw the writing on the wall. He wanted to get out of there. He flipped, and then he went to UCLA. He was actually the highest rated player in the 2022 class. And you can see, he's a very solid player, and he's going to potentially break into the starting lineup as early as this season, may beat out Kenny Churchwell as the starting strong safety. Very intelligent player, underrated, when it comes to the hit stick that he can provide out there in the open field. I really like Ramsey, and I think UCLA, he was the highest rated recruit. Flipping him from the likes of a Stanford was huge as well. Just a school that is so prestigious and, massive for delivering on talent and, academics. It's a hard school to get a player to flip from, knowing that they were going to Stanford. So getting Kamari Ramsey, given the caliber of the player, getting him as a flip from Stanford, we got to put him in number 4. Number 3, this is where it gets interesting. I could go a variety of different directions, but I'm going to go with Alec Anderson, man. He was right tackle at UCLA. He was about as solid as you can get from the right tackle position. 30 games played in his UCLA career, 17 starts at right tackle for UCLA. And he was about as solid as you could find as a Pac-12 level starting right tackle. I wouldn't say he was a starter. I wouldn't say he was a star. I wouldn't say he was a guy that, was flirting with All-American status. But this guy's playing in the NFL. He's with the Bills right now. Was a very productive player. And you just felt confident with him out there at the right tackle position. Really solidified the right side of the line. Came on the Bruin Bible. We got to hear his story and his impact in the line. We had John Gaines on. Him and Gaines were as thick as thieves together, very close buddies. And, with Alec Anderson, he said he's one of the smartest guys, in the room. He got everybody else up to speed, kind of what Gaines did this year for the line. So Alec Anderson, the impact he made in the starts for his career, the next level prowess he was able to achieve with the Buffalo Bills, just being a damn good player for UCLA. We got to put him in at number 3. Alec Anderson coming in at number 3 for the UCLA Bruins. Number 2, a guy that played two sides of the football. And by the way, Alec Anderson was committed to Washington State. I want to clear that up. So he was a Washington State commit, ended up flipping to UCLA late in the process. I was so jazzed to talk about our guy, Alec Anderson. I forgot what even school he went to. So Alec Anderson flipped from Washington State to your UCLA Bruins. Number 2, Neo Mafi, a guy who played defense and offense for UCLA, flipped from Cal, another Cal victory for UCLA in terms of acquiring talent. I think the tax we're paying them is for all the recruits and transfers we're being able to take away from them, because at this point, it's just getting silly, man. 14 starts on defense, was a solid defender. And then they say, hey, Neo, I think if you switch to offensive line, maybe lose some weight, I think you can make the NFL. Lost the weight, came in and was one of the highest rated guards, in the entire country. I think he was number 2 last year, according to PFF, for UCLA. was just an absolute stud, man. And drafted in the 4th or 5th round by the Patriots this year. Huge get for New England. And if you're asking me who may have the longest, most successful career out of this draft class, even guys like Charbonnet and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, it wouldn't totally shock me if Neo Mafi was the guy that had the strongest resume in terms of numbers of years, in terms of maybe accolades when it comes to the guard position. He's going to one of the best offensive line coaches and coaching groups in Dante Scarnecchia and New England, Belichick, all that jazz. So Neo Mafi, I think, has got to be on the list. Flip from Cal to UCLA, and UCLA, he represents everything that's great about being a Bruin with the great journey, the story, the massive amount of weight loss, to just mauling dudes in the run game. So Neo Mafi, he comes in at number 2. And number 1, fairly obvious. We got to go with our guy Dante Moore, man. Hasn't played a snap either, but 5-star quarterback, legitimized UCLA in terms of going to the Big Ten. We needed a face to do that. And Chip Kelly, the fan base, we're still about 50-50 on Chip, it feels like. We needed a face where this guy's going to be able to play. He's going to be, moving to the Big Ten, a on-field presence as the face of the program, if you will. Dante Moore is that. We saw him enroll early, competing for the 1 spot in the quarterback room as a 17-year-old, and he may win the job. He's just an absolute stud. He flipped from Oregon University, came down here, and he's from the Midwest too. So he's from Detroit, Michigan. So just knowing that you had another presence coming from the Midwest, Big Ten country, if you will, to UCLA is so big on a variety of different levels. And if I was betting, I will bet that Dante Moore, if he does reach his ceiling at UCLA, will be the most successful quarterback we've had here since Cade McNown and Troy Aikman, and maybe rewrites the record book completely, even with the likes of a Dorian Thompson-Robinson numbers, things like that, and what he's able to do. I just believe in the kid. Elite poise, leadership, ball placement, touch. He's got it all, man. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. Bruin Bible, thank you guys so much for tuning in on this Sunday evening. Had to give you guys the update on Rob Booker. Really excited about him coming into our program. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Bruin Bible podcast. We've got some great things coming in store, so please check us out. Much love to you guys, man, and we'll see you later this week with the offensive line rankings and where we feel about UCLA's O-line coming into 2023. Take it easy.